Now, did they give me permission to drive down this? No. But you know what? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to Ed Kenley Ford for giving me some time with this Bronco. Check out their inventory in the link below, and also, if you do live in Utah and you want to test drive the new Bronco, Ed Kenley Ford does have this one available for test drives. Come and give them a visit. Let's get into the video. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.7 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 20 on the highway. And Ford has now released official power figures for this engine, and it produces 330 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. So that's a little bit more than we originally thought. Now let's go over the front end of the Outer Banks. So first off, this is finished in antimatter blue and it looks absolutely fantastic here in the sun. Just look at the metallic flake right there. And then I love this little accent piece right here. Coming down below, we've got the full LED lights. We've got the gigantic Bronco logo. And then you can see we've got the aggressive off-road bumper with the parking sensors here on the front end. And then you can see the tires really pop out here on the side. But yeah, overall, that is the front end, and just look how cool that looks. Coming around the side here, we've got 18-inch wheels and we have 35s wrapped around that. Now that is not the stock setup for the Outer Banks. I will show you guys the stock wheel. We do have a stock wheel still on the back. This has an aftermarket set and then also a leveling kit, and let me tell you, it looks absolutely killer. The stance of this is just perfection. And then here's a quick look. You can see there with the suspension. Then if you guys are wondering here on the tires, and then also a little bit of a closer look on those 18-inch wheels. We have our Outer Banks logo right there, and then we've got the side steps here on the side. Notice that the fender flares are body painted, and other than that, here's your full side view. And I mean, this thing with 35s looks killer. Now popping here into the rear of the Bronco, we've got the bag of goodies back here. Well, actually 2 bags. And then you guys probably noticed this one is a soft top. We do have the top off for today's video, so you guys can kind of at least experience in video format what it's like to drive this with the top down. And you can see it looks really cool with everything exposed there in the back. And if you guys are wondering on ordering, it's actually easier to get a soft top right now than a hard top, just kind of like a pro tip with that. And then other than that, we're gonna close this up, and it's cool, it like sticks at different points with the hydraulic. Notice that it'll stick, which is I think pretty cool. But that's all. Finishing things here in the rear, we've got these beautiful LED lights. I definitely love the design right there, and then you actually can lock it from the rear. And then here is the actual stock tire. So it's an 18-inch wheel, 255 millimeter for the tires. And I think we can all agree that's cool, but that substantially cooler. But regardless, we've got the camera here in the center of the tire, and yeah, other than that, that's everything for the back. And I'll show you guys quickly underneath the Bronco so you guys can kind of see some stuff with the suspension and everything, but that's all. Now here's the door panel in the rear. Notice that we've got this beautiful brown leather right here, and then coming to the seats, we have a mixture between the blue leather and the brown leather. It looks really cool and rugged and matches very nicely with the exterior color actually. And then you even have blue stitching right there. But let's pop in so you guys can see. If you guys are wondering, I'm just under 6 foot. There's what my legroom looks like. Well, that's awkward because we don't have the roof on, so you can't really see headroom. But trust me, I fit back here. And then notice it says no step. Got a little charging area down here in the bottom portion, and then we have the most interesting looking cup holder armrest. Like, look at the shape on that. That's so unique. That's everything in the back. Let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel in the front. So again, we've got that beautiful brown leather, and then just down below where you're gonna rest your arm. And I love this look of the trim right here. And then also the door handle definitely has a cool aesthetic to it. And then you've got the net here. I just love how rugged that all looks. And then here are the front seats. So again, we've got that blue leather mixed with the brown leather, and then the adjustment here on the side. And then you guys can see the pedals just down below, the hood latch release, the parking brake, light controls just up here. And then, yeah, just look at like the blue accent and everything. That all looks really good. And there's one more look before we pop in. So here's our steering wheel in the Bronco. So we've got the black leather wrapped around the steering wheel, and then we've got the darker stitching there in the center portion. And we've got our normal practical car stuff, so like the voice command controls, phone controls, and we've got our cruise control here on the other side. Got little stock there for the turn signal, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster with the Bronco. I absolutely love the aesthetic. So we've got an analog speedometer, looks really good. And then notice that we've got the whole digital readout there that shows you different bits of information on it. And then look there on the side, you guys can see stuff like the fuel economy, all that. But we've got even more. So notice that we've got that for the fuel economy, but then we've got even more menus. Like we can go into the off-road menu, for example, and we can see like pitch and roll. And yeah, there's just so many different things you can go through, but overall I love the animation that they went with on this. And then you even have like your off-road status. So yeah, I love the center stack. And then we do have the different drive modes. So first off, we've got our normal mode, and then we've got our eco mode, and notice how quick it is to respond with this switch between the different drive modes. And then we've got the sport, and then we have the slippery, and then we have the mud ruts, and then we've got this sand mode. And yeah, those are the different drive modes. Now here at the top of the dash, we have a couple controls. So we have the locker for the rear, and then we have the turning assist for off-road, and then we've got the stability control, and then we have the hazard lights. And if you guys are wondering on how to use it, it's just these switches in front of them. So you just press the little button in front, and then that's what actually does the actuation with the different controls. Definitely a cool setup. So here's our center infotainment system. First off, we're gonna pop it into reverse. You guys can see the backup camera. So we have this really nice backup camera that does have a zoom in function, and then notice we've got that 360 view out the front, and then notice we've got the different camera views here as well. So you can just kind of like press that and that'll open it up, and then also you can go through the back. But yeah, that's everything for the camera system. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, this is the same infotainment system that we have in the new F-150s. You guys know I'm a huge fan because first off, response time is great, and you can do the split screen function, and you can like drag over this screen if you want. So like for example, if I want to go to the navigation, then you just have to like pull that, and then you can basically make it so it goes to the navigation screen. And then we have our features tab, which notice we've got like the zone lighting, for example. So you press that, and then you can basically disable it if you want, which is pretty cool. But notice that you've got that whole little view right there. But yeah, overall, great infotainment system, and it's cool all the little controls that it actually comes with. Now we've got our analog controls for the radio right here, and then we have this is the camera button, which just presses that on for the camera. And then notice we've got dual zone climate controls. We do have heated seats here for the front, and then down here we've got some extra storage space with our little charging area with a couple of USBs. And then look at this, we have kind of like our little plaque right here that lets you know where it was built. So I think that that's cool. It says designed and engineered, right? I don't know. I think that's a nice little plaque to have. But anyways, we've got our shifter for that 10-speed automatic. You have the plus and minus. You can shift the gears yourself. And then we do have a manual mode. And then this is for that GOAT mode. So go over any terrain. And then notice this also contains your drive line select as well. So notice we've got a 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel auto, and then your 4-wheel low. And then here in the center, if you guys are wondering here, that's just the trail control. So you just press that, and then that'll turn on or off the trail control. We've got our window switches right here, and then we have our mirror adjustment in the center, and then we've got the center console. And if you guys are wondering why those controls are right there, you can take off the doors. It's just like 2 bolts to actually take the doors off, so it's pretty simple. I do recommend doing it with 2 people. It makes it a little bit easier if you do it that way. And then aside from that, notice we've got the vents again. We've got more blue accenting. We've got the Bronco logo right there. Still have a regular glove box because, well, it's supposed to be a normal practical SUV. And normally this is where we go over the roof, but we had the sky as our roof today, which is pretty cool. And yeah. Now, sorry, we can't really look at the window sticker. There's tons of glare, but the total MSRP is $51,910. That doesn't take into account the aftermarket parts that have been added to this. But anyways, let's take this Outer Banks out and see what the new Bronco is all about. So let's talk about visibility before we set off here in this Bronco Outer Banks. So first off, visibility over the hood. It is a longer hood, but it's actually pretty easy to see out of. And then there's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then throughout the rest of the rear, and then up top, visibility is fantastic. But anyways, visibility is actually really good in this new Bronco. And that all being said, let's set off. So here's the deal. We're over here at Ed Kenley Ford, and they have this little grass hill that I am on top of. Well, it's not grass, I'm on pavement, but there's this little grass hill that I can drive down. Now, did they give me permission to drive down this? No. But you know what? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. That was really smooth. We took it off-road, guys. We technically took the new Bronco off-road. Look at that. This thing is just an off-roading machine. You can go down a small grass hill and it just handles it perfectly fine. But in all seriousness, let's actually get up onto the road. So we are officially setting off here in the Ford Bronco, and if you guys are wondering, I have it in the sport mode because, well, we're driving around town and we want to get the most from an acceleration perspective. And sorry if there's quite a bit of wind noise in today's video. Obviously, I have the top off, and so, you know, there's going to be a little bit, but let's actually talk about this Bronco. So first off, it is so smooth. It's crazy. It feels like really solid, and it feels just really smooth from a ride quality perspective. Completely different from a Wrangler, like substantially different from a Wrangler. Like a Wrangler, right, really rough because it's got that solid front axle. This with the independent suspension, way smoother. Yeah, there's a huge perceivable difference. This feels more like a regular car. Now, there is a little bit of extra noise from those crazy aggressive tires, but overall, they really don't run the ride quality. Like, it still rides very smooth. And I'll kind of slow down for a second, and then we'll get our acceleration. It's actually pretty quick. It's actually decently quick, and sorry if there's like tons of noise, you guys can barely hear me. But even on the highway, like, it's loud, but it's not super obnoxious. Like, yeah, you would have to talk pretty loud to have a conversation with someone, but it's not bad at all. And the tire noise isn't bad either. It's actually pretty minimal, and this is very smooth on the highway, and it's not tracking side to side like a Wrangler. Like a Wrangler in the same situation, I would be going all over the road, whereas this is just staying nice and planted. Very interesting. It's a completely different driving experience compared to the Wrangler. I definitely like this a lot more than the Wrangler from a on-road driving perspective. It's so much smoother. And sorry if you guys kind of struggled to hear me there. I'll kind of talk about some stuff. I'll kind of repeat some stuff at the end of this video, but yeah, this thing drives amazing. I love this, and the steering is great too. There's actually good feedback and everything through the steering as well, so that's definitely a huge plus. Yeah, this new Bronco, wow, I didn't think it would be this good, guys. I did not think this new Bronco would be this good, and it's pretty quick too. Wow, definitely a lot quicker than a V6 Wrangler. Yeah, it's got good torque. And you are pretty high up off the ground, so it does hide the speed quite a bit. Like you don't feel like you're, like right now I'm going about, well, 45 miles an hour because that's the speed limit, and it doesn't feel like I'm moving all that fast, so it does hide the speed pretty well. But I can see, yeah, it accelerates at a very decent pace. Yeah, this thing is great, and I love the steering on it. The steering is just really nice. Like, it's very, very direct, but it doesn't do that annoying floating thing that the Jeeps do with their steering. Like, it's like I can literally just, I can do this, guys. You can't really do that in a Wrangler. Like, let's be real here. But let's get into summing things up with this new Bronco. So first off, aesthetically, it looks amazing with 18-inch wheels and 35s. This thing looks like a tank. Oh my gosh, it is just beautiful. This antimatter blue really pops as well. But even with a soft top, like, I'm not a huge fan of soft tops, but I mean, with the top off, it's really not all that bad. There is quite a bit of wind noise, but I mean, that's expected. But it really doesn't look bad either. Like, it looks really good even with the soft top. So like, they did a really good job from a design perspective. Interior wise, it's amazing. The seats are very comfortable, and they hold, actually, the bolsters are really nice. They actually hold you in place pretty well. I love the whole like digital screen and everything. It looks really good, and yeah, it's so daily drivable. Like, this is so much more daily drivable and it's quick. This is so much more daily drivable compared to a Wrangler. Like, there is not even, it's not even a question. Like, this feels like a real substantial SUV, whereas the Wrangler just, it feels really much like a toy basically. Yeah, they just knocked it out of this park with this new Bronco. So if you're looking for a crazy capable off-road SUV that looks super sexy and drives amazing, that you could daily drive, like, this could be your only car. You could take this on off-road adventures, and then you could drive this, you know, to your job or whatever, perfectly fine. Like, it's that smooth. Ford just, yeah, they nailed it. And I'll finish things by going into the manual mode, and we'll get one more acceleration. Yeah, that 10 speed is so smooth. This thing is quick. Like, you don't usually say that about SUVs in this segment. Usually you're like, yeah, it's great off-road, but it's not that fast. This thing is quick. Like, it accelerates at a really good pace. So yeah, I'm super impressed with the new Bronco. If you haven't already ordered one, I would recommend ordering one while you can still get one within the next year or two. Now that's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2021 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Ed Kenley Ford here in Layton, Utah for giving me some time with this Bronco. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.